I love history, which you know, obviously, if you've been around long enough. But I love when people find historic things. I love finding things, and when they found that Declaration of Independence a few years ago, I was so excited, and they found an original. Well, there was an original work of history that was found in 2005. It was interesting. I was just reading about it this week, and I studied it. Somebody mentioned it in passing in a talk I was listening to. In 2005, there was a lady in a library up outside of Philadelphia who was in a library. She was in a back closet pulling out boxes that had not ever been opened since they were donated in 1950. So she's cleaning out the back, spring cleaning out the boxes, and she finds a manuscript of a Beethoven piece. It was a fugue. It's called the Gross Fuge. I didn't know what a fugue was until I asked a musician what a fugue was, but I'll tell you about it in a minute. She finds it, 80 pages. It's an original Beethoven in his writing. And this library had it in a box that's been sitting there for 55 years in a box. So they figured out who gave them that. It was a lady who gave it in 1950 who was given it by her father, all his books and boxes, and she never opened them up. And her father had been dead since around the turn of the century. The father was a man who was a Christian who wrote many of the hymns, the music side of the hymns we sing that are out of the 1800s, Fanny Crosby's hymns and some of D.L. Moody's songs and things like that. And he died, gave all his money away to different places. In fact, the school I attended has a building named after him. And his memory's gone, and his books were given to his daughter. She never opened the boxes. She handed them as she was about to die in 1950 to a library at a school she graduated from and said, "Here, take Dad's books." And inside the boxes, one of them, and there were some other famous things as well by Mozart and Haydn and things like that, just amazing. The school's doing well now. They sold them all. Piece of paper, $1.7 million. I don't know who has that kind of money, but they sold it. Here's the point. I looked up what a fugue was. Does anybody know what a fugue is? I don't even know if I'm saying it right. I asked a musician to tell me what it was. Good. There's 2 or 3 that know what it is. It's an incredible musical style where the composer takes one instrument or voice, and you start the song and then builds another instrument and voice on it, and another one, and another one, and another one, and another one. So all of a sudden you have all these instruments and voices coming together. Each of them plays a little part. It's different than a symphony or an opus. They start by themselves, and then they move into the song, and someone else starts by themselves. It's a very long piece. It's called a fugue. And so it's very interesting. The guy who really started this was Bach in the 1700s. And Bach said he started this fugue because of this. He felt the omnipresence of God when he wrote fugues. And you go, what does the omnipresence of God have to do with music? And this is what he said. He said, pretend you're the oboe player, and you're the piccolo player, and you're the piano player, and you're the soprano, and you're the alto, and you're the wind instrument, and you're the harpsichord. Out starts one, and then another. Now, when they went to practice, they didn't have the CD ahead of time like we do now. We can hand musicians the whole orchestration, right? They practiced at hearing it, but they would only know their part. They would know the composer or the conductor in their part. And they would know the composer and conductor in their part. And they would know there's other parts to the fugue, but they would never know what the parts were until he brought them all together. And then he would bring this person in, and then this person in, and then this person in. And the orchestration of the fugue was so beautiful because everybody played their part. Get the picture? This is what the second half of 1 Corinthians is about, where he says, each of you has been given things to work with. Gold, silver, precious stones. There's also wood, hay, and stubble, or straw as well. And his point is this, is that if you, over here, play the part God has given you, and you play the part God has given you, you come together. And why is that important? Because he has brought it all together in church. Why is it important that he is for 3 chapters and he continues in the next chapter to say we must have unity in the church? Because he wants this orchestration to sound great. People coming together. Because people say, well, I can worship the Lord without anybody else. And you know what? You can. You can go to the beach. I do it every morning. And you can worship the Lord by yourselves. But in some way, it's like being a piccolo by yourself. You know there should be something more here, but you don't get it. But when you come to a church that has unity, look at us, 700, 800 people, different gifts everyone has. I do not have the gift that Faith Wilson has. I do not have the gift that Gajendra has. I do not have the gift that you have. You do not have the gift I have. We come together and grand things can happen. Because I obey the conductor, you obey the conductor, and he brings it all together in this beautiful sound called Boca Raton Community Church. You are a part of a grand opus